Okay, let me introduce the conversation. Woo! Three, two, one. It's so weird, man. Okay, let's do it. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. So, as you can see today, I'm not alone. I brought Jeremiah, which is another creator on the platform. We've been interacting for the probably the past year, even 2 years. We've been interacting
Mhm.
for quite a long time. We had a Zoom conversation last year, but that was not recorded. And the idea today was to record a conversation about a topic that I think we both care about and we both find very interesting. We also kind of do video in the same niche, if I'm not mistaken. Like we are working in the self improvement area niche. So I think we will give each other interesting perspectives. That's pretty much it. Jeremiah, if you want to introduce yourself, maybe how would you introduce yourself?
100%. Well, I guess first off, Miguel, I just want to thank you for letting me, join this conversation with you because, when I first came across your work, I was inspired by like how well you were able to visually tell stories. And
Oh, thank
it's
you,
always
man.
been something I love your videos, right? Like it just has a unique feel to it. And
Thank you,
I
man.
guess
Oh,
like the topic,
that's so nice.
yeah, yeah. Well, I guess the topic for today, like I've definitely thought about this. Like, when are you an adult? Like, or how does that? How should you think about that? But I guess like a little bit about me, Miguel, is like I work in the corporate sales world. So I work in
Hmm.
commercial real estate, and outside of work, what my passion is I want to be an entrepreneur. Like,
Yeah.
um, I'm really inspired by entrepreneurship and brand building, and I like making YouTube videos, as you know,
Yeah.
and podcasting and I guess I'm just trying to figure out life. So I'm
Yeah,
just trying to
right.
figure out like what I want to do and what I want to build, who I want to be. So
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. And I'm super curious to know what was your motivation to start your YouTube channel? Because you're obviously you work in, so you said you work in real estate? I
so I
didn't know
work in the
that.
commercial real estate industry, but I'm more like I work on the software sales side. So
Hmm.
yeah, so it's more like just helping people, serving them, getting them the right software, the right to help their buildings. But a lot of it is just building good relationships,
Exactly.
solving problems, understanding their needs, and just like really good, I guess, communication, like really understanding where someone's coming from and how to help them get their goals. So I feel like it also relates to YouTube too, because I guess you
Yeah.
mentioned like why did I start my channel?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is a great question because I think it's about community. I think it's really about community and sharing. Like I guess to be honest, like I just wanted to share some things outside of work. Like I like philosophy, I like ideas, I
Yeah.
like self development, and I feel like YouTube. I don't look at it as like I look at it as almost like a social media site, like a place
Yeah.
where obviously I met you. We're like interested in the same things. We like Nathaniel Drew. I think we both like.
Ah, of
Yeah,
course, man.
I knew that when I saw your videos, like you definitely were inspired by him because I like he's a big reason why I started too. But yeah, like I guess it's just a place to share your ideas, and I feel like in the modern world, you need to like find people who resonate with the same topics as you, and you guys can help each other out. And it's kind of like that idea, like iron sharpens iron, right? And you both like help
Yeah.
each other up. So I don't know that's kind of a long-winded answer there, but I'm curious, like Miguel, why did you start your channel?
Oh, yeah, that's such a great way of thinking things. So I guess on my side, I'm a technical recruiter. So my
Mhm.
job is to recruit developers, yeah, basically developers, and they're very hard to get on the current market. So it's a hard job. So same thing. I think I saw a video of you in which you were talking about cold calls. Yeah, so the idea of approaching other people and having to kind of break that weird barrier that we all have. And I think there is something extremely interesting. Once you learn how to do that, it kind of unlock a lot of potential, in interaction, in also
100%.
expression, and you feel more comfortable exposing your ideas. And I know that I've been a recruiter and working in the corporate environment for 3 years, and I need that. I'm missing one piece over here. Like I think I'm missing freedom in expression, and I feel a bit how to say that. I feel like we're pretty filtered in the corporate job. So anyway, I'm like, I'm fine and I'm super grateful to have this job. But at some point, I would like to do something a bit more free flowing, a bit more linked to my identity. And obviously, being an entrepreneur nowadays, I think we both have that thing. Like we really want to create our own thing and
Mhm.
our own vision. So I guess I started my YouTube knowing that I could not have a 9 to 5 job forever. So I wanted to create something on my own. And but I had the difference with you. I think you were very you didn't have too much expectations. And I remember last time you talked, you were like, "Man, that's fine. What we're doing, that's fire. We're doing good, you know." And me, I'm more like, "Okay, let's check the numbers. Let's see how it evolves." And sometimes I get a bit obsessed with the performance aspect because I'm waiting, I'm counting the days. I'm like, when is it becoming my job? And I think it's
Mhm.
not necessarily the best way to see things, but definitely it was the need to develop my skills as a storyteller, as a creative, as someone who wants to expose his vision, and also more on an individual level, also the idea of expressing my ideas with more confidence. I think I tend to be a very good I think I'm a good listener in general with people, but I struggle to say, okay, here is how I think, or here is my vision. And I think my YouTube was also a way to be like, okay, that's gonna be the one space where I don't feel bad for saying who I am and how I feel. And it evolved quite a lot. Like the videos that I'm doing now compared to the video that I was doing 2 years ago. And you mentioned something interesting, man. You said we both love Nathaniel Drew.
Mhm.
When I started my channel after 2 months, someone added me on Instagram and texted me and told me, "Man, you need to change what you do because there is no purpose in what you do. It's exactly what Nathaniel Drew is doing. You need to
Mhm.
change your content." Man, I was so pissed. But at the same time, it gave me such a great perspective because it's true. When you're passionate about someone or someone's work, or you're super super inspired by someone's work, you create like this vision of like, I just wanted to reproduce exactly what he was doing in my own way, but I was lacking, that vision that I mentioned. And I,
Mhm.
I don't know if you had that at the beginning. And I feel like the more we evolve on the platform and the more we get also to create our own real vision, sometimes it's scary because we see that we're the only one doing that, and we're like, is it ever gonna work and stuff. But anyways, all that long answers, but
Yeah. Yeah, well, I definitely agree with you, Miguel. And it's funny how you say like you didn't feel like you were going to be great at communicating your message because like when I watch your videos, like I would say you're an excellent communicator, like both visually and just how you get across your ideas, like of just being open. So like when I watch your videos, it's almost like I'm with you, like
oh
it's like
really? Oh
yeah, kind of
wow.
in person, right? And like the angles you do, kind of the how you go into like this part of the video to the next part and just take you through like your day.
Oh
And I
man,
think
for
like even
sure.
coming back to the Nathaniel Drew idea is like I don't see the guy who messaged you that like I wouldn't say that's true because or I guess Miguel, are you still here?
Yes, can you see
Oh, there
me?
we go. Yeah, I can see you.
Perfect. Okay, we're gonna do it like that. It's perfect. Sorry, so I interrupted
Yeah,
you.
so
So
we
you
had a
went
little bit of technical difficulties there. Miguel's camera, we switched
exactly.
cameras there, but I guess oh yeah. So then the Nathaniel Drew thing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I think like I don't think there's anything wrong with that because like watching someone like Nathaniel Drew or Matt Diavella, like those guys get
yeah.
you in the door of like being a creator. But I feel like just because it's like when you make videos, it's coming from your perspective.
Yeah.
You're not really like him. It's completely different. Right now, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the power of YouTube that like two people can make the same exact video. And like let's say for example, two videos on water fasting and one's coming from
Yeah,
me and one's coming from another person and
exactly.
like the people can choose what they want to watch, right? So,
Exactly. Yeah,
mhm.
that's so interesting, man. Did you have that at the beginning? Did you have that feeling sometimes of like imitating a lot? And I think it's a part of the process. It's normal at the
Mhm.
beginning to do it, but did you feel like it was hard to express it? Like, how would you compare it? Like being at the beginning, trying to express your vision compared to 2 years later. How do you feel about that? I'm very curious.
Yeah, well, I would say like Nathaniel Drew and Matt Diavella, like I was really inspired by those guys maybe
Yeah.
2 years ago, and And they are the reason why like I kind of started, right. And even before
Same.
that, I was really into fitness. Like I like Christian Guzman, those guys, and I started a
Yeah.
fitness channel, but I actually deleted it. So like technically, the channel I have now, this is my third channel, and I
Oh,
guess I
really?
kind of changed the way I approach it. Like I don't really expect results. Like I just look at it as, just something that can creatively, like it's a hobby for me, right? Like it's not earning me a paycheck yet, so I don't take it
Yeah.
crazy seriously, but it's just a hobby to put stuff out there, see what people resonate with. And yeah, like I really have no expectations, and it
Oh,
makes
that's
it enjoyable for me. So
Oh man, I admire you so much. I told you last time, like, but your philosophy and your positivity too, like the way I remember last time we talked about the struggles and stuff. You were like, yeah, that's a part of it. That's the game, man. And it just helped me so much, bringing a new perspective on things and being like, okay, man, just talking to myself, like, let's just be free. Let's just do what we want. This is actually the moment, man. When if we grow a lot, like we will have a lot of pressure and we'll have to be very, very delicate about a lot of things and to overthink all the time and think about how are we going to pay our bills. Like this is the moment to experiment. This is the
mhm.
moment to experiment, and you really gave me that perspective. So I'm so grateful, and I think it's interesting because it links to the topic of the day, which is becoming an adult. I think being a creator helps so much becoming an adult because you will understand my perspective on adulthood, but I think a lot of it is understanding the limits that we have as human beings, and that we are limited in terms of energy, in terms of time. We're not going to stay forever over here, so we
Mhm.
have to use that energy properly and with intention and in a way that we really want to use it. And I think to me this is becoming more and more my definition of being an adult, and I'm going to tell you more about that. But yeah, I'm curious to know what is being an adult to you.
Oh man. um
Big question.
yeah, I guess there's a lot of angles where I could go here, but I could just say for me personally, it's just this idea of responsibility. Like as you're getting
Yeah.
older, things that are important to you kind of change. Like a great example of this, like I don't want to get too dark or morbid here, but like when
Oh,
I was
go, go,
20
go.
years old, like I had a great friend that I grew up, like he was one of my best friends from childhood, and he got hit by a car and like
Oh, wow.
he passed away. And then like earlier this year, like one of my like there's three of us. He was in the military and something happened and he passed away too. So I think I never really thought about like death or like this happening or things outside of your control like that. But I guess like as an adult, like it just made me realize like wow, like life is pretty serious. Like one moment you're here, another moment you're gone, right? And um, I still don't really know how I feel about it. Like I'm just kind of like, what's the word for this? Like I kind of like in a limbo state. Like I'm not really
Yeah.
sure how I feel about it. But I guess like when it comes to adulthood, it made me realize like yeah, there's consequences to actions, and you have to take responsibility. You have to like you have to make good choices. You want to like live a good life. You want to be happy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess I think adulthood, it makes me realize that like yeah, life is a gift and you should be responsible. So sorry if that was
No, man. Oh,
yeah.
I love that. A bit my creations, my videos. I try to be as honest as
Mhm.
possible, and I really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much. It's very precious, and I think it is a part of it. It is a part of realizing that we're not invisible. Like this is actually the definition that I was about to give you. I think to me it's the wisdom to know that we're not invisible. Invisible, is it how we say that?
Yeah,
Invisible,
invincible. Yeah.
and accept the dark side of life. This is literally the definition that I prepared for us in my mind. So I guess to me that comes with the responsibilities, but I don't think it's the main thing. I think it's more the way we approach responsibilities. For example, I mentioned I asked a couple of friends, what is becoming an adult for you? And a lot of them said, oh, it's driving a car and it's owning an apartment and having a 9 to 5, having a job, not necessarily a 9 to 5 job. And I find it interesting that I was like, I was not satisfied with their answer. I was like, give me more spiritual stuff. And I got almost mad at them sometimes to be like, yeah, it can be deeper than that, but at the same time, it is not necessary. For example, driving a car, it can sound like a pretty simple thing, but driving a car is also the symbol of freedom. Like when you drive a car, you can go wherever you want. You can, you can actually, you have a big responsibility of driving something that can literally, hurt people. And it's the idea of having responsibilities, but it's more the way you deal with these responsibilities to me that makes you an adult. So to me it's more that spiritual, almost that spiritual awareness of being aware of danger and being aware of the fact that we're not invisible, and how can we prevent things from happening. And as you mentioned, it's by working out to be healthy, eating healthy,
Mhm.
and trying to, I don't know, trying to be respectful toward other people, trying to do the right thing, follow. So there are a lot of things that come with that spiritual awareness of humility and vulnerability. So it's it's a bit confused in my head, but I think right now in my life, I don't know, how old are you, man?
So I'm 26 right now.
26. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'm 28. So we're touching, like, you're still in the middle, but touching the end of the 20s, man. Oh my God, you start to really sit with the things, and it's wow. It's like there is that need to be a bit more reasonable in everything you do, and also, of course, I'm super young, but you also feel your body start to change. For example, during these past 2 years of pandemic, I did not get the chance to go to the gym because in Canada, as you know, the gyms were closed most of the time. I gained a lot of weight, man, and I'm trying to lose weight, like work out and stuff, and my body doesn't respond the same way than before.
Yeah.
Before I could go to the gym just 1 month and be back, I would be back, summer body on. Now, wow, it takes so much more effort. So I think that's a part of also of the humility journey. Reaching the end of the 20s, you start to see the limits. And also, I think the main characteristic of being a kid is to dream, right? Is the dreaming aspect of it. When we're kids, we're constantly dreaming about, like, life, about things, and we have a lot of creativity, freedom, and stuff. And then we become teenager and we start to focus a lot on approval, other people, perception and perspective. And then we become adult and we have all these responsibilities, and we kind of have to find a compromise between that childish spirit, and that all these heavy responsibilities, and still other people's approval, especially in the 20s. So it's like it's a big it's a big maze that
Mhm.
is extremely hard. But I would
So I guess I have
uh,
one quick question for you though, Miguel.
yeah,
Like,
for
is
sure.
there anything that like surprised you about adulthood? Like, let's say once you hit around like 25 or older, like, was there anything that
Okay.
kind of has surprised you about being an adult as opposed to when you were a
Oh,
kid? Like,
it's super good question. I think that's the thing, that that we're not invisible, like invisible. I'm struggling with the word, but like that we are vulnerable. I'm much more vulnerable than I thought I was. Like I thought I could do where, because I grew up. Man, I grew up in France, and I grew up with a mom who has the will. She has a willpower that is insane. She's such a
mhm,
positive person. She's 55 today. She works 80 hours per week. She has a lot of goals. She wants to travel the world. She wants to do everything. And she didn't have an easy life. So I think I grew up with that very positive, like, role model in front of me, who's super positive and has this big willpower. And I think she gave that to me. And she was like, you can be whoever you want. It's all about what you want. And
mhm.
I think I thought that I never doubted. I never doubted, man. When I reached the 20s, I was like, yeah, I can be whoever I want to be. I can do everything I want. And like reaching 25, oh, you start to see, oh, life is not that easy. You create your YouTube channel, and no, you don't blow up in 3 months just
Mhm.
because you work 80 hours per week on it. No, you know what I mean? It's like, no, there are some clear rules that you need to follow. And yeah, it's almost saying that, okay, and I'm going to get to that later, but it's almost the idea that I don't think I'm not special in a way. I'm vulnerable like everybody else, and I need to listen to other people. I need to learn. And there are some clear guidelines on stuff. If you want to make something happen, you need to follow the guidelines. So it's the idea of being more reasonable and being more, yeah, being a bit more calm and humble in the way you approach things. I think I don't know, did you have that at the beginning of your 20s?
100%. And it just kind of relates to it. But there's this thing I heard like recently. It's like Jordan Peterson talked about it, but he was saying how when you're a child, right, like you don't really think about risk or vulnerability or getting hurt. You just, if you see a friend or you see someone, you just say, hey, like, hey, I'm Jeremy or I'm Miguel, and you just like form a relationship,
Yeah, right.
or you just like have fun and enjoy yourself, right? And he was saying how like as you get older, you might start to get like hurt. Like maybe it's like you get fired from a job, maybe
Yeah,
you know lose like a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or
yeah,
maybe you lose a friend who like turns against you, or you know all these different things, or maybe you try and start a business and it just fails, right? You start to feel like vulnerabilities, failure, all that. And he was saying how
exactly.
like at that point some adults they like remain jaded, like they lose that ability to dream and they just close that off. But what he was saying is that's the second stage, but you want the third stage is like now that you're an adult, you want to get to like where you recognize you can be hurt, but you want to be courageous enough to be like, okay, like if I get into a business relationship with this person, like this could fail, but and he could turn against me, but I'm going to trust him because it's the right courageous thing to do. So you're like aware of your, you know, your faults, but you still go
Wow.
forward anyway.
Wow, man,
So
that's
yeah,
such a good definition. Wow.
mm,
Courageous. Yeah.
but that's the thing too, like, and I think courage definitely is related to adulthood, because when you think about courage, like this is from Aristotle, but courage is on a spectrum, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're too cowardice,
Yeah.
you never move forward. You know, that's
Yeah.
like the person who is like 50 or 40 years old. I know someone like this. He's down in San Diego. He's actually a close friend, but his he lived with his mom until he was in his 40s, and he never wanted
Wow.
to. And when his mom passed away, he mentioned that
Wow.
that was something that affected him, because he realized like, oh, I should have moved forward. I should have moved forward earlier, right? As opposed to then like
Hmm.
built my own life. Um, yeah, and then I guess like so that would be like on the side of cowardice, where they're on the other side of the spectrum
Yeah.
that's like too rash or stupidity, like having too much courage. That's like if you're
Exactly.
12 years old and you're like trying to be an adult then and start a family
Yeah.
and drive cars, like that's a little bit too much, right? But I guess
Exactly,
Aristotle, what
man.
he's all about is like there's a golden mean. It's like doing things in the right way at the right time and feeling good about it, right? And I think being adult, to me at least, is like just taking responsibility in the right way at the right time, you know, and just being a reasonable person, you know, just
Yeah, but that's such a
so.
hard thing to do. That's so
Mhm.
hard to do, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's so interesting what you just said. But I have a question for you. How do you know how do you know that it's the right moment and the right decision to make? Like, for example, if you can give
Mhm.
an example, I'm curious, man, do you feel like an adult?
I would say I do, yes, but like
Yeah, cheers to
I think I definitely
that.
do, but I didn't always feel like one. But yeah, I feel like I think it depends, right? At some points, maybe I don't, like maybe at this point I could be married and have a family, or and
That's
like,
the thing. Yeah.
but at the same time, like I think it just depends on the situation, right? There's
Yeah.
so yeah, I guess I'll turn that on you. Like how do you feel
Yeah.
about
Oof. Oh man, that's tricky. I
that?
told you a month ago, I was like,
We're
yeah,
going
of
deep
course.
here.
Man, a month ago, I was like, of course I'm an adult. What are you talking about? Like, I have a
Mhm.
job, I'm in a serious relationship. I have an apartment on my own. And I think the biggest thing for me was that when I have a problem, I, I try to find a solution on my own. To me, this is what an adult was very intuitively, is the idea
Mhm.
of just being able to show up for yourself and to yeah, to have your own back in a way. But then, man, what's crazy, and life is so weird sometimes, there are so many weird synchronicities. At the moment I said that, I started having a lot of shit. Like the day after I said that to a friend, I think I was driving my car. I just bought a car, first time that I buy like a modern car and stuff. And I was driving my car in Montreal, and someone hit me in the back, and like
Mhm.
bump into the
Oh,
car.
yeah.
And man, the way I dealt with the situation was so bad. Man, I got off the car and I just started shouting on the guy. When I'm a super nice person, I never do that, but I was like, man, you're not getting away with this and stuff. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh fuck, I'm not an adult. It's just because I freaked out. But if I was an adult, in my opinion, I would be able to realize that this is a part of the responsibilities. When you buy a car, you sign a contract to say it's okay if someone bump into me at the traffic light. When you get an apartment or when you get a job, you're in a way you sign a contract that says it's okay, I can get fired. So I need to anticipate this. And I realized that there is that aspect of, I think I'm an adult on a day to day when everything goes well, but that's not life. Like stoicism teach us that that's not life. Life comes with shit all the time. 50% of the time, it's hard times, you know? And I think these past months, I realized that I was not fully an adult. I think I'm getting there. And obviously the fact that we're having that conversation right now is already a good sign. But I think I'm not anticipating at all anything. Like I live life as if everything will always be the way it is. You know what I mean? So I don't save that much. I don't have a lot of savings. I don't, because to me it's more about like how can I live life at this
Mhm.
fullest right now and do the, I don't know how do you deal with money on your side?
So I guess just before that quick, like, do you feel, see, this is interesting, Miguel, but do you feel like you're being too critical on yourself in terms of,
That's interesting, man, because it's something that comes back a lot when I talk with friends as well. So I'm really grateful you asked the question. I think I am very critical with myself. I think I am. But I think I'm also, it's because in my relationship with myself, I let a lot of things go. For example, like I know that I'm supposed to save money, for example. Life
Mhm.
has shown me a million times that I should save at least 30% of my earnings. Like it's obvious, I lost my job at the beginning of the pandemic, and I just found myself like, oh, okay, I lost my job, I lost my apartment in a 2 weeks period. Like it was a crazy time. And then I
Mhm.
realized, okay, I had savings at the time and I was like, oh, it's so important and stuff. But my reaction was to be like, okay, life has been hard on you. You can buy a new camera lens to make better videos, You can buy a new camera for your YouTube videos. You can go on a cottage for 3 days to relax and write. I have this tendency to treat myself a bit too much
Mhm.
sometimes. So, yes, I'm hard on myself spiritually and in the way I think, but in my action, I'm also very flexible. So, I need to find a balance over here. And yeah. So, back to you. How do you feel about all of that? Money management. Is it something in which you're still experimenting, or is it something where you feel like you have things under control?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say like, yeah, like I would say like I don't love money, but like I like money, of course. Like I'm not gonna
Of
say no
course.
to money, but yeah, like I've been like in debt like early in my 20s a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 100%. Man, it was a
Cheers to that,
struggle.
man. Cheers to
Yeah,
that,
it
man.
was a
Story of
struggle,
my
man.
life.
It was a struggle, but I got out of it though.
Really?
Yeah,
By 26? Woo!
yeah.
That's
So, but yeah,
sick, man. Good
yeah, but
job.
it taught me a lot about life. Like it just, I guess for me, what it taught me is like, yeah, like finances is actually really important because the more finances you have, I guess, the more options that open up. And um, yeah, but I put myself there. So it was no one else but me. Like I don't even
Yeah.
know what I bought. Like I went to like a Vegas trip on a credit card. I shouldn't have done that. I
Oh,
took
wow.
a student loan for something that, for another trip, I guess. But, but yeah, I guess like how I got out of it was like I watched like a little bit like Dave Ramsey and just put like a budget together. And then I guess what happened to me too is at the time, um, I was working like three jobs. I was working at like an advertising agency. I was working at as a barista, and I was working at like this retail store, right? And like my life was just kind of miserable because I was super tired. Like my only goal was to get out of debt, right? So I did that for 3 months,
Wow.
or like it was 3 months, I think, and I was exhausted. Did it for another 3 months, and I was like, hey, this is not sustainable. And that's actually how I got into sales, because I realized like I need to make a career move here. Like it's not working. Like I'm just paying to like get trapped in this cycle. And this is before I even had a YouTube channel. I couldn't really do much. Like I was pretty miserable actually. But that's what I did. I just got a new job into sales, and that like helped everything, because then I was in control of my fate. Like that's the thing I love about sales is it really puts control into your own hands. And like if you work harder, you'll get rewarded for that. And then I guess the way I look at like finances is there's like income coming in, and there's also like the management of like where do you put that money? So like, are you
The
investing in,
intention.
yeah, like
Yeah.
in like stocks or crypto or building a business or something outside of that? Like, but yeah, I would say like finances, it depends, right? Because everyone has a different perspective of money, and I would say like as an adult, that's something I've definitely thought about, is like having a healthy relationship towards money. Like money isn't necessarily the root. Like some people, yeah, there's like saying like, oh, money's like the root of all evil. Like it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good
Yeah.
to have money. But when you think about it, like finances is really important. Like you should have that handled. And it's something that, like, I don't know, you should feel indifferent about money. You know what I mean? Like it's not good or it's not
Wow.
bad, but it depends on how you use it, right? But I don't know.
Man,
I feel like I
it's
was going all over the place with that one there, but
oh no no no, that's so good what you just said. The fact that you had three jobs at the time, man,
Mhm.
the willpower. The will, you knew what you wanted and you did it.
100%. But the thing is, Miguel, like it wasn't sustainable, right? Because I was trying to get out of debt, but it wasn't like really working. And what I realized there is, instead of working three jobs, just like do like one job that's
Yeah.
a good job.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? And
exactly.
it'll
Well
make
played.
it completely easier for you.
Yeah.
So it's like funny how, like, if I was like smarter back then, I could have just made that whole process a lot easier, I guess. But you have to like learn. You have to learn firsthand, and
Is
then it's almost like you have to keep touching the fire. Like you have to keep making mistakes until you realize, okay, oh, this time I'm not gonna go and buy like that on my credit card because I just can't afford it right now. So like I'm gonna like not do that, right?
and that's the
But
thing, isn't it? That
mm,
adulthood, being able to have that judgment of quality and being like, first of all, having the awareness, I think it shows you that you're already in a process. But the idea of being like, okay, I'm not doing it anymore, and you said it lasted 3 months, right? The
yeah, so like,
the three jobs.
well, to get out of debt though, it took me, what is that? Like probably like 3.5 years.
Man,
So
oh,
it took me a long time, but
congrats, man. Cheers to that. Like, for real,
thanks, man.
congrats. Being 26 in the world we live in, being 26 and being out of that is amazing, man. And you can really be proud of
Mhm.
yourself for that. That's really, you're really inspiring me right now. I'm
Thank you. Like, yeah,
I'm gonna think about now I'm gonna think about finding a complementary revenue to pay my bills.
yeah,
But
but I think
yeah,
it's like, I don't know if it's something you should like overly concern yourself with,
yeah,
because
yeah,
it happens at different times for different people,
yeah,
and some people like their goals are completely different. Like I know people my age who
yeah,
are like multimillionaires right now. Like it's crazy. Like yeah, and it's like I guess what I'm coming to is like everyone has different problems that they're faced with.
yeah.
Like for other people, it could be,
Ooh,
maybe it's like a financial problem. Maybe someone it's like a relationship problem. Maybe for another person it's like their relationship with their parents, or for another person it's like they don't know how to get a job or what to do. I guess like part of being an adult to me is like what's in front of you. You have to like you have to see that and like face it head on. So
oh
like
man,
if
that's
you,
so
because
good.
that was a big thing for me, man. Because like when I was like in debt, like I hated looking at the numbers. I
Yeah,
hated looking at
same,
like
same.
that I owed that, and like
Yeah.
that's why it lasted so long, because I wouldn't acknowledge it. I wouldn't like accept it. But the first step for me was like I like looked at the numbers, jotted all of them out, and like once I knew, okay, like, oh, so like this is how much I owe. Like okay, every month, like I can't contribute that much yet, but maybe like $50 here, $100 here, and then it just built the habit, and that like feeds into investing too, because every month then you can. It's like the same habit to get you out of debt. It's the same habit to get you into investing. So it's all related, right? It's like looking at your
Ah,
problems and just
yeah. Yeah,
One
that's
after
you
handling
said
it.
so many interesting things, man. The idea of sitting with the reality. That's also
Mhm.
as being an adult. Like we don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. Like, and
Mhm.
especially nowadays, and that brings me to another like area that I haven't thought about before, but like also in the world we live in, where in which comfort is so well spread everywhere. Again, we go back to stoicism a lot. Like I've been inspired a lot by stoicism, and I know you're very interested in this too. But the idea of comfort is, to me, is very dangerous because I see myself, I know what I'm capable of. I know that
Mhm.
my willpower at the time when I was younger was very strong, and I could do things much more. But I feel like the more, like now, I've been a recruiter for 3 years, so I have like I have a comfort in life. I have an apartment on my own. I'm fine. I'm super grateful for this. But the more I get these things, and the more I also allow myself to do less. And this is the vicious cycle, especially when you have debts, of if you let yourself just like flow in that, I would say, normative lifestyle in North America, which is to get a lot of credit cards and a lot of debt, and just let it in grow, you lose the energy also to apply more attention and intention in things, because you never want to sit with reality, so you distract yourself all the time. You spend your life
Mhm.
watching Netflix. In normal times, you see friends, you spend time with people, you're always distracted. And the idea of never sitting with yourself, just like even meditating 20 minutes to be like, hey, what's going on, what is it that we're avoiding? And I think in our world of distraction, with TikTok, with Instagram, with YouTube, with all of the things, it becomes harder and harder to sit with intention. And this is one of the things that I'm really struggling the most, as a creator online, is that it's very easy to lose my vision, to be like, oh, I saw that creator that did that, like, let me try that. You know what I mean? It's like you get so much content around you that it's very tempting sometimes to numb yourself with that, when I feel like being an adult is also the capacity to come back to yourself, to sit and to listen to what's going on inside, and especially listen to the pain. Again, stoicism, but sit with the pain, man. Like,
Mhm.
sit with the pain. And i'm 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 so amazed, not in a positive way, to see how much people of my age don't do that so much. And me too. It's like it's harder and harder to sit, because we work 40 hours a week. So outside of that, we want to order Uber Eats. We want to go to cottages. We want to go on vacation. We want to live the life. But at the same time, we need to have this moment, this quality moment of sitting and listening to ourselves. And only when we do that, that we would be able to live a life with intention. And I'm realizing that more and more as a creator, is that the month or the weeks when I don't post videos are the month when I'm numbing myself and I'm just distracting myself. The month
Mhm.
when I post a bit more videos are the month when I'm much more aligned, and I sit with myself and I sit with my shit and I accept who I am, and accept, who I am, where I am at in life, and also that things will never be perfect. That helps a lot. But I don't know if that makes sense for you. It's a bit
Yeah, well, I love that, man. Like, I think just accepting who you are is probably
yeah,
like a big portion, right? Like, I think, yeah, like just accept who you are and like don't treat yourself like don't be too critical on yourself. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Keep
yeah, you're
yourself
right.
lightly, and things usually work out. Like, just imagine,
Yeah,
because you
it's true.
said that at one point you lost your job, you lost your apartment,
Yeah,
but now look at you now. Like,
yeah, it's
you
true, man.
you came back from that, and it's crazy to see like all the see. That's why I feel like pain and kind of suffering in a sense is kind of good for you, because it shows you that you're a lot stronger than you realize, right?
Oh
And
man, you're so right. You're so right. You're so
yeah,
right. Yeah, you're so
100%. And
right.
like, just
Yeah,
imagine all the things you've been through over the last, let's say, 10 years to get to
yeah,
where you're at now, where, to create the videos you create and to have the skills you create and to have the ideas you create. Like, and yeah, it's
it's so
difficult for
interesting.
people to get there, right? And
Yeah, it's so interesting what you're saying. Like, it's funny how I don't realize it on a day to day. Like, I don't, it's true. When we look in the past, we see the progress. But I
100%.
think I tend to look a lot in the future. So then I'm like, yeah, because I know where I want to go, man. That's the hard thing too, is like I spent my, I don't know what about you, like, but I hated school, man. I hated school. Like, I hated school, and I went to school because of course we have to do it. And then I grew up in France. It was, I was not really not doing great at school. And then when I got 19, I came to live in the US for a year. um, and then after that, I came to Canada to study my bachelor degree. But all of that, I think I was doing it mostly for my family's approval, and also like coming from, both of my parents were immigrants in France, and they didn't get the chance to go to college like I had, so I wanted to do it. So I think in a way it was a great decision to make, and I wanted to take the opportunity. And 3 years later, I'm still grateful because it allows me to make a great living and stuff. But I think I've always been a creative, and I never listened to that part of me because I was too busy surviving and too busy like looking for approval and just making sure that I would do the right thing before doing what I wanted to do. And I think it's kind of my life purpose is to go back to that aspect, that creative aspect, but I constantly fight with it. You know what I mean? It's like there is always a duality between the pressure of being a successful person, more normative person, and that idea of being myself, man. Like, there are so many videos that I make, I'm like, oh my, what am I doing? I'm just killing it. Like, I'm just killing my YouTube channel. Like, it doesn't make sense. I All the videos that I post, but actually I'm like, man, what are you doing? You're putting yourself naked on the internet. Like, it's like I feel so vulnerable sometimes being real. It's just because I spend so much time in my life being not being myself, so I think this is why you see me very critical with myself. It's because I know that it's very tempting for me to be not being fake, but being not being myself. So now I really want to stay there. So it's like that's why I push myself so hard to stay on the right path. And it's not an easy path because vulnerability is never easy. But I'm realizing that in my own journey, vulnerability is adulthood. Basically, it's being an adult, it's being vulnerable, and it's being real, and it's being, I'm a very sensitive person. It's saying, yeah, I'm a sensitive person, so what? It's like I can still make things, and I'm far from being perfect, and I know it. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like this is what being an adult is becoming more and more right now, in my journey. Like, how do you feel like your story, your life influenced your perspective on being an adult?
Ooh, that's a deep question.
Mm. And feel free if
um,
you're not comfortable, we can.
yeah, yeah, well, I would say like so far, like I haven't really thought about that to be honest, but
Sorry, man.
yeah,
I bring the
but
philosophical shit. Sorry.
no, this is good though. But I would say I'm still probably in the space of trying to figure that out, right? Like when I
Yeah.
really look at like even both of us, right? Like I'm 26, you're 28.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's young, man. Like we're not
We're so
even
young.
in our
So
30s
young.
yet, but so like there's the whole future just ahead of us. But
Exactly. Yeah, it's true. It's true, man. Probably I'm gonna watch that when I will be 40 and cringe. Like, oh no.
But yeah, but
It's
I
true.
would say
It's true.
definitely like I've had moments where, so for example, in college, like I used to be very like I remember second year college, I was like
Yeah.
very into video games. Like I played League of Legends like every single day. Didn't go to
Wow.
class. Like I was kind of introverted, right? I had really bad social skills. Like I couldn't even like look people in the eye and
Really?
shake their hand, right? And I was studying math, so at that moment, I realized like, okay, this is probably a problem. Like I'm very introverted. I need to kind of get out of my shell. And that like led me to like sales almost because when I look at like someone in sales, that's like someone who can communicate, someone who can like go out there and sell,
What a
speak to people.
champ, man. Good
Yeah.
job.
So that was one thing that I kind of saw early, and I was like, okay, like I need to work on this. Like I'm not like my nature is actually pretty introverted. Like I like kind of being to myself and recharging there, but it's weird how I'm in sales and I have to like
You
cold
have a
call
YouTube channel
people.
and a podcast, man, and you work in sales. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
so Yeah, well, that I would say that was probably a big defining moment for me because it made me realize like I'm not naturally someone who, is like good on podcasts or YouTube or going out and selling,
What?
but it's like I'll still have to do it even though I don't. I like doing it, but and like I've learned to love it over time. But it's not. I would say it's not like one of my natural strengths. So
Okay, I'm shocked right
yeah,
now. Like honestly, I didn't see that coming. That's
yeah.
crazy.
So
Wow. Wow, good job, man. That's
Mhm.
super good that you found a way to overcome it.
But that's the thing too. Like I would say, like we all have our own like challenges, right? And
Yeah,
I've been thinking about this too lately. Is like I don't think it's easy for anyone,
yeah,
And I think
yeah.
like one thing that I've recognized being an adult is that, and I learned this too because I moved out when I was 21 years old, and one of my roommates, his name was like I'm not going to say his name, but he was like a 60-year-old like Harley Davidson biker guy, right?
Okay.
And like we both lived in the basement, and he was actually from Montreal. Like he's a very interesting guy, but he taught me like a lot about life, just like having him as a roommate because he was always about. It was very strange, but he used to kind of like every time I chatted with him, he's like, don't mess it up, don't mess it up. Or like he used to say this thing like, don't follow a good shot with a bad shot, and he was so adamant about like just not messing up your life, I guess, right? But it was so strange to me because like it's almost like he thought he had like no more time left, but like he had a lot of time left, like right. And
Oh,
I
wow.
guess what I pulled away from that is that it's almost like a mindset. Like if you believe that time's done and you can't overcome your challenges or there's no hope for you, then yeah, it's you're kind of like defining that for yourself. But if you look at things on like a positive side and be like, oh yeah, I do have these challenges, like I'm not really good at socializing, I need to work on that, or I need to like work on my finances, and just address it, whether you're like 30, 60, or 80, you can still make progress and move forward, right? So I think it's more like a mindset of like when do you want to take responsibility and just handle business.
Oh man, that's so
So
good. That brings me to another thing. Sorry, sorry, but that brings me to another thing. Faith, man, faith.
mhm,
I think, and it's interesting because, like, as you probably saw on my YouTube channel, I went through a very hard time with my mental health, and during the summer, and I think that the hardest thing at the time for me was the idea of not having faith anymore. Like, exactly what you said. Like, this is it. This is gonna be it forever. This is my
mhm,
problem. It's just the idea of saying, okay, this is the idea of seeing so many patterns coming back all the time. And I think that's the definition of a trauma. Because when we're in early 20s, we always get the excuse, oh, you don't have enough experience, you don't have enough wisdom, so you don't know, so you make mistakes, right? Because you don't know. But what I saw in myself during my 20s, like I knew that a lot of things were not good for me, but I would do them anyways because I just didn't have the willpower to not do it. And at some point when you see that repeating, you're like, oh my god, this is it, this is it forever, which is very bad, by the way. But sometimes it happens, and that's a part of mental health. So anybody that feels that way, we're not, I'm not judging at all. But
mhm,
and I understand, I relate to it. But I think when I came, like when I got better with my mental health, I started a therapy. I started feeling better. The first thing that I felt was faith. The first thing that I felt was like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. And everything that happens to me happens for a reason. And I'm seeing synchronicities. Like, I swear, man, sometimes I'm like, I'm not necessarily religious, but I believe in the universe. And I was like, sometimes I ask stuff to the universe. I ask questions. I don't do it often enough. But sometimes I'm just like, hey, the universe, can you help me on this? And I swear, man, most of the time they give me an answer right away, right away. And I think the moment when I feel like I have chills right now, the moment when I feel the best are the moments when I allow myself to believe in it, like, and I allow myself to be like, everything happens for a reason, and there is amazing things coming in the future, and I know it. I know it for a fact because it happened in the past. My life only gets better, man. Like I'm today, if I knew where I would be when I was 22, at 28, I would be mind blown. Like I would be on the floor. I'd be like, oh, that's so cool, man. I can't wait. And sometimes you just get in your overthinking and you start seeing things in a more negative way. So thank you so much, man, because you're just bringing that perspective to me right now. And you're reminding me of something that I literally like I needed to remember that. So I'm
Yeah,
super grateful.
we'll think of it this, Miguel. Like this is going to be an interesting because it's I like how you brought up faith because like there's this guy, his name's Saint Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah.
He's like a Catholic saint, I guess, but he said that faith is a virtue that you have to like cultivate, like it's exercise. But think about it this way: let's say, how do you know that your name is Miguel Raza? Like how do you know that?
Because my parents told me when I was a kid, I guess.
So that's but you weren't there, right? So that's an exercise of faith. You weren't present in the hospital, or like you were there, but you weren't
Yeah.
like you probably don't remember
Consciously.
that. So it's like you trust that, and that's an act of faith. So like when you meet someone, let's say when you first met me, how do you know my name was Jeremy? Because I told you, but you
Yeah.
weren't like in the hospital with me when my parents named me. Like you didn't witness it. So that's an act of faith. So just imagine, like I think
Wow.
faith, oh, like we use it a lot of the times. A lot, maybe like let's say, yeah, like when someone tells you a story, you don't like question everything. Like, oh, are you really like Bob? Or like, did you
Yeah.
really go to the coffee shop? Like, did this really happen? Because that's all an act of faith, I guess. And like whenever you're not present and someone tells you something, you don't question it. You just believe them, and that's like exercising your faith, I guess. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay, that's it. We can finish. We
yeah,
can stop the conversation now. We got it. We got it. This is what being an adult
yeah.
is all
This
about.
has been more deep than I thought, bro.
Oh man, I'm just enjoying that conversation so much. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that we're recording that, so I can go back to it every time I have a doubt. But that's so true. Now, faith is so important, and we need that as the complex animals that we are. Like the overthinking thing is
Mhm.
is just so destructive. And working on this, man. I see the time is almost out. So let's jump to a last couple of questions. There are a couple of questions that I really want to ask you. Biggest lessons for your 20s.
Biggest lessons. I guess the first one is for me is just actually yeah, let me just think about this quick. um
It can be one
yeah,
lesson. It
one
can be
lesson. Yeah,
one.
I guess the biggest lesson for me is try not to overcomplicate things. Like just go after things that you want,
Yeah.
and just see what happens. If you want to start a YouTube channel, start it. If you want to start a business, go after it. If you want to, maybe you're in a career that you don't like, and you want to get into like a new career, just go for it. You never really know. So I guess one of the biggest lessons I've had is just not being overly critical on myself. I guess like that's one
Yeah.
thing. Like because I used to, I'm often kind of critical on myself too, but like now I'm trying to be more, yeah, just more relaxed, not take myself too seriously,
Yeah.
and yeah, just go after the things you want and try and be like a reasonable person, and things usually work out, right? So,
Wow. Amazing, man.
but yeah, I'm gonna flip this on you. Like, what do you think, Miguel, is the biggest lesson you've learned?
Good. Now I want to modify my answer, but I won't. No, I think the biggest lesson is that I always believed that self-confidence was an individual thing, that it was about like knowing exactly who you want to be, where you want to go, and it's all about you. And I understood that to be self-confident, you need to trust others. Let me give you an example for that. It's a philosopher that I really love. For anybody who speaks French, his name is Charles Pépin. He's an amazing humanist philosopher,
Mhm.
and he says, when you're a kid and you learn how to bike, uh, the first thing that you need to do, very often you have ideally a parent or someone who's pushing you behind, pushing you to, and you need to trust that person, right? You need to trust that person. Then you need to trust that weird thing that is called balance, that doesn't mean anything for anybody because there is no substance of it, right? But you need to trust that balance. That balance is that weird thing. When you go left, you fall. When you go right, you fall. So you need to stay right in the middle. And then only when you trust others, the unknown, so the faith aspect of it, balance is faith. Balance is the universe. Balance is, you don't know what's coming next, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what's coming next, and that's the magic of life. So once you trust these two things, only then you can trust yourself. And I think the big mistake I made during the beginning of my 20s was to think that I was so self-reliant and that I could do, even on my YouTube channel, man, I see it. Like if we look at your YouTube channel, you've been talking to a lot of people, you're bringing a lot of people on your channel and stuff, because this is so important to bring other perspectives. If you look at my channel, yeah, I brought maybe 2, 3 persons, but like that, this is the first deep conversation that I'm doing. And by the way, I'm so grateful for this. But you see, and I think it's sometimes I'm like, what I told you at the beginning was like, follow your vision, follow your vision. It's the one place where you allow yourself to accept your vision. But my
Mm-hmm.
vision can only be accepted once it's with other people through community. So I guess what I'm learning the most is the sense of community, and that there is not such a thing as being self-reliant or self-made. It's all about teamwork, and that's just so great because it's really a big weight on my shoulders, from my shoulders. So I
100%,
guess,
man. And
yeah,
I definitely agree with you there because like we're social, like even like why I like your videos, like we're social, like there's parts of the way you create that resonate with me or help me. And yeah, I feel like you're a good example of this too. Like just by sharing your story and like your vision, your creativity, people people pull things away from that and it helps their
yeah,
life, right?
right,
So
yeah.
yeah, so like we can't do this alone, right? We have all these people here and
Exactly, exactly, and that's the meaning of it. Like especially when, and I think my subconscious mind knew it because going on YouTube meant you're looking for a community. Like there is no way you're starting to be a YouTube creator and you don't think about community. This is the number one thing. But I have this weird thing of like I had mainly in the past, but this weird thing of being like I put my video, but I don't even want to see the comments. It's like being so scared of others that at some point you don't trust others because again it's linked to everything we said, faith and everything. You don't trust others because you fear others, and because at the end of the day you fear yourself. So anyway,
100%,
it's everything is linked because I fear myself, so I fear others. So it's like, and now understanding that everything is linked and everything is one. And I would even say that everything is about faith more and more.
man.
I changed my definition of adulthood 5 times during that conversation. That tells you that tells you how much I'm lost in my life right now with that question, but in a good way, because I think all the things we explored are very valid, and there is not such a thing as one definition. I think it changes every day. We change every day, and that's beautiful. Like I'm not gonna be the same person after that conversation, and that's a part of life, and that's what's beautiful. I think the answer to that question is more the spectrum and something that's gonna evolve with time more than one stiff thing.
100%. And I guess just one other quick thing I want to mention too is like
Yeah,
because this is from I guess Aristotle. Like he talked about like friendship a lot. Like friendship was another virtue.
yeah,
It's actually like the virtue of kings and queens. But essentially, what he talks about is how there's different types of friendship, right? Like there's friendship based on pleasure. Maybe there's people who watch your videos and they just enjoy watching it. They don't really care too much about you, but they just it's like
exactly.
entertainment for them. And then there's people who watch it for like utility. There's people who they're like really bored and they just want to watch it and you give something to them. And then if you stop making your videos, then they're gone. But then there's people who like it's like true friendships. I think this is in real life or virtually
Yeah,
anywhere, but these are people who they actually want to see you like at your best, like grow and like will the good and you want to see them in exchange, right? So it's kind of his whole idea is like being around people who iron sharpens iron. Like, and I always think about this too, but I feel like that's huge as an adult. Just get around the right people who they actually want you to be at your best, and you should want them to be at their best. And like they'll call you out at it, like maybe in a video, like yeah, like if you do a great video, like they're gonna recognize that and be like, yeah, this is amazing. Like, keep going, right? So
Oh wow. Man, such a beautiful conclusion to
yeah,
that conversation. Wow, I was not expecting that. Obviously, it always goes, where it goes,
yeah,
but
this is the great part of conversations, Miguel.
ah,
Though there's so many ways we've gone with this, and
so cool.
I've learned a lot during like this conversation too. Like I think like yeah, I never really thought about faith and balance like that too, and yeah, it's actually crazy. Like it's just crazy like how we don't really look back at like our lives and see like
Yeah,
just how far we've come, and I
yeah,
guess just taking things as they are, and
yeah,
so
exactly. And maybe we're adults. Maybe we're we are adults, and I don't know. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it evolves. But I gotta say that at the end of this conversation, I feel like an adult. So thank you, Jeremiah.
Mhm.
Thank you, man. Wow. Where can people find your work, your creations? I know you're also you started a jewelry company. So where
Mhm.
can people find your creations?
100%. So I guess you could find me at YouTube, just Jeremiah Schmidt or jeremiahschmidt.com. And then I'm also on Instagram at
Yes.
jeremiahschmidt.io. And soon I'll have a brand. If you're into men's, jewelry, pendants, chains, any of those things, it's seasons.com. So you can find that on my website as well.
Beautiful. I saw the packaging, man. Good
Mhm.
job. Good. I saw your
Yeah,
video about it. Yeah, yeah. I really loved
it's
it.
taken a while though. Like I thought it would be up like last November, but it's probably going to be up maybe. I'm aiming for around May, but
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's always taken like that's. I'm just learning as I go, right? I'm not a.
Yeah.
I'm kind of new to this, so.
Okay. I have two things that I want to add. First of all, the course, man, that I tried last year,
Mhm.
how good it was, man. Waking up with you every morning was amazing because you're still just so positive and so like I don't know, you're positive and you're also very determined and you always have you have such good stories. I think that that's really the thing. Like I remember the story about the Las Vegas trip and anyways, your course was amazing. Is this available?
Yeah, so the course, I guess it's not like I kind of put it on pause. Like I
Okay, no
just
problem.
yeah, I guess,
I
but
can cut
I
that by
might
the
I
way.
might bring that back in the future.
Um,
Keep that in there, man. Keep that in there.
yeah,
Because I
yeah,
want people to see like I would say like you could look at the course as like a failure, but it was
yeah.
without that course I wouldn't be doing like seasons e-commerce, right?
Of
And
course, man. Of
yeah,
course.
and that's the crazy thing. I think even coming back to the adult thing is like there's all these different chains. Like imagine Miguel, if you didn't move to America, would you be in Montreal? If you didn't start YouTube, would we even have met? And the same thing happens
Exactly.
with me, right? Like before YouTube, I was into fitness, and then I heard this podcast, and I started a podcast, and then I started YouTube, and then I met you. So and
That's
then it's
crazy.
crazy. And then that course that I did taught me that like that was my first steps in entrepreneurship. And then that course didn't really sell to the level that I wanted it to, but it taught me about, oh, what
Mm,
about e-commerce? Right. So it's crazy how like you never really
everything.
know where things will lead, but you give it a shot and eventually it links together, right? So
Exactly, man. Wow. Super,
yeah,
super good mindset. What about your YouTube? What is your perspective for the
Mhm.
future? Man, you're growing a lot. Every time I come back to your channel, you have you have 20 more
Yeah,
subscribers. That's amazing. Good
100, yeah,
job.
it's kind of weird because it's a water fast video that I made. Like I made it like a
Oh, yeah,
year,
it's true.
yeah, a year and a half ago, and it's the one video that's like keeps growing, and I keep getting subscribers from it. So like,
Oh,
yeah,
so cool, man.
but it's funny though because like that video, I didn't want that video to be like the style of video that grows my channel, but you never really know, right? So,
It's always
um,
that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's crazy. So, are we gonna have more challenges in the future? How do you see
100%. Yeah. So
things?
I'm
Yeah.
thinking of doing like the David Goggins like he runs 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours, like and just see what that's like. So I got some stuff for it. I got like
Wow.
yeah, this is like a running vest that I'm gonna do, and I got like a
Oh.
headlamp. So
Oh, that's so cool, man. I'm really looking
yeah,
forward to watching that one. Oh, that's amazing, man. Oh, that's really cool.
Mhm.
But honestly, good job for YouTube. Like your content is, I love it because there is that you have this very natural way of doing YouTube, and that's why I was so surprised when you told me that you're an introvert because you feel so you look so comfortable and just so chill, and it feels like you're exactly where you should be. This is
Mhm.
the feeling that I get when I watch your YouTube. It's like it's exactly. I feel like I'm just like sitting with you and learning from you. Like this very. You feel like the inspirational friend. You know, the friend that you go for advices, and this is who you are. Obviously, you literally did a therapy on me during this conversation. So, I think this is who you
100%. Well,
are.
I would say you're like that too, man. Like your videos, they always bring like a new creative outlook. Like the angles, like your visual storytelling, man, is just amazing. Like and just how open you are in your videos. I think a lot of yeah, I was thinking about this too. Like I feel like you can attract a lot of different audiences. Just yeah, not only in Canada, like the French audience, just so many audiences you can attract. And yeah, man, I would just say like you're doing great too. Like your channel is like
Thank you, man.
exploding. You like every
Thank you.
time I see you, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Thank
So
you. Thank you, man. It's something that you like I swear the video about I think it's the day in the life of a depressed person. Like I just did that video,
mm,
man, I was burned out. Like I in my head it would be like a video that makes 20 views and I had no idea and the thing's just like the comments too, man. It was like, oh wow. I was so surprised, and I'm actually so grateful for all the people it brought because it brought a new vibe on the channel. So like all the people now that are on the channel are just super onto vulnerability, and it's pushing me a lot to do more vulnerability, more opening up about my wounds, about my traumas and stuff. So I need to be careful not to fall into it too much
mm,
because it cannot be a brand by itself. It has to be nuanced with also because when you spend too much time focusing on wounds, you become wounds. So now
mm.
that conversation is actually making me realize that I also need to be a bit more balanced. So sometimes I'm a bit more light, like the last video I posted, like I'm tired and I'm burned out too, and I'm like, okay, fuck it, I'm just gonna laugh with everybody and try to offer a great moment. But I think yeah, the niche right now is not to take myself too seriously and to share as much as I can. How would you describe your niche right now compared to 2 years ago? Has it evolved?
Um, yeah, yeah, like I would say I'm still kind of figuring it out, to be
Yeah.
honest. But yeah, I guess like the niche that I want to try and target is just people who like seeing like challenges or like different challenges, experiments, like overcoming philosophy. I want to like start talking more about like the philosophical
Yes.
aspect.
Yes, man.
But I guess I want to flip this on you for a second, Miguel, because I'm curious. Like when I see your channel, like there's a lot of work that go into your videos. Like what are your thoughts on like how you view the work aspect of YouTube of like of your creating your content? Um, yeah, like I feel like not many people like recognize that there's a lot of work that
Oh,
goes into that.
thank you. Thank you so much. Man, I just love it. I just love it. Like I love editing. It's like I take my music on Music Bed. I don't know if you know that website. Like
Mhm.
I just like when I'm editing, it's like sometimes during my 9 to 5 job, I love it. I have so much fun, but it's just like I don't get that creative thing of being able to create my own vision and stuff. Like when I get on my YouTube at night, when I start my editing after my 9 to 5, it's the moment when I can do whatever. I can go wherever I want to go and stuff. So um, I just love it. It's a lot of work for sure, and I'm trying to find way also to optimize the way I work. For
Mhm.
example, I've been trying TikTok for the past maybe past couple months. I'm just cutting some short part of my videos and I put them on TikTok. I would say that it gives a lot of visibility, but it's not necessarily quality visibility. Like people just binge watch videos, and it's like some people come on, I think some people come to the channel anyway. So what I'm trying to tell you is that I'm trying to optimize the work. How can each hour involved in my YouTube bring results, and
Mhm.
yeah, strategic mind. But I just love the work aspect of it. I would literally see myself doing that full time. Like I would see myself working 50 hours per week on this. It's just that I love it so much, man.
It's gonna
Yeah.
happen, man. Like I could totally, you doing YouTube full time, I could totally see it. Like it's just a matter of time, man. Like it's already happened. It's just a matter of time. Like just keep making videos,
Yeah.
and
And
then
you see, it's
eventually,
man, it's crazy how much it evolves so much ever since we talked last time. Like it feels
Mhm,
like the algorithm is pushing us much more after 2 years on the platform, right?
100%.
We get
Because
much more
I think it,
credibility.
yeah, because I think it trusts you more, right? Like it's trusting you more, and it's like figuring out your audience better. So yeah, I think it's persistence, man. You just gotta stay in the game. Just stay in the
Almost,
game, and
almost
keep going, and
there.
and then it turns into something, right? So
Yeah, yeah, I can't wait on at least, but yeah, let's do more partnership collaboration on the platform, and that was such a great conversation, and I'm extremely grateful. You're really someone who inspires me, but also makes me feel so supported, and makes me feel like every time I'm like, oh, maybe I should give up. I think about the things we exchange, and and it's just always helped me. So man, thank you for being my coach.
oh, no
I
worries.
really, I really love that, really, and I think it's important also to. I've been talking a lot about that, but I've been thinking about maybe building a community of small creators on the platform
Mhm.
at some point to have like online meetings. Every month maybe we could talk to each other because man, we're working so much on this. Like it's crazy. We're working so much on this, but you can feel pretty lonely sometimes when you're just like posting your videos. And of course, we have the interaction with you guys, the viewers, and all of that. But at the same time, it's also good to feel supported with creators. It helps a lot, honestly.
100%. I'm all in, man. Like if you put that together, I'm all in.
Yeah, let me figure it out. It's just more project for now, like something that
Yeah,
I have maybe for the summer. Try to do something like that. But yeah, definitely, man. If you need anything or if you want to do some kind of collaboration, I would be more than happy to have another conversation.
100%. Well, yeah. Thanks so much, Miguel. Like this is I love this conversation. Thank you.
That was amazing, man. Thank you very much. Take care.